Hi there, Kathy Brennan here, helping you to look better, feel better, and do better. So today I'm going to talk about how to stop feeling hopeless. So many of us feel hopeless. It could be because circumstances have gone bad, or someone has disappointed you, or there's a health crisis, or a friend just isn't doing what she said she's going to do. We can feel hopeless for so many reasons. And I get hopeless. Let me tell you my hopeless story. So I suffered from depression for 18 years before I got a diagnosis. And then when I got a diagnosis, I was so happy. I thought, oh, good, there's a name to this and there's something to be done about it. So I took an antidepressant. That's what was prescribed to me. And the first one didn't work. But I still had hope that something would work because now I had a name and they could fix my brain. And the second one also didn't work. And then the third medication, it worked. It worked like a dream. It was so great. I felt so wonderful for 3 beautiful years. I didn't cry. I was happy and energetic and loved people. And then just as quickly as it had started to help me, it just stopped. It just dropped me like a hot potato. So that was my hopeless moment. I was back to where I had been before without the hope that antidepressants would help me. It was really a rough time. I really did not know what to do. So I didn't even realize it at the time, but I was asking myself, so now what? I was listening and paying attention to anything that would help. Any crazy idea, anything someone suggested, I would try it because I was so desperate and left without hope. Because I realized that this was up to me. No one quite understood and no one quite felt the same hopelessness that I did. You know, my husband, he couldn't understand it. Our kids, they didn't understand it. They were younger too. Even my friends, they didn't know what I was feeling. And I isolated myself and hid the fact that I was hopeless from all of them too. But I realized I had to keep asking questions. And if something came up that seemed crazy, I had to give it a try. I had to give it a really good try to see if it might work for me. I had to be persistent. This journey was mine. Nobody else could do it for me. I had to own my hopelessness. I had to own this depression. This was mine to take care of. That doesn't mean that people couldn't help me. Actually wasn't letting very many people help me at that time, but it did mean it was mine. It was mine. So how I reacted was up to me. That is something I could control. If someone had a crazy idea and I said, oh, that's a stupid idea. Well, that was up to me. Or I could say, hey, I'll try it. I'm desperate enough. I'm in a bad place and I'm hopeless. So I'm going to try what you've got to offer. So it was just up to me. So what has you stuck? What has you feeling hopeless? Is it, we're at the holidays right now. Maybe you're celebrating the holidays for the first time without a child or a parent or a spouse. And that feels really hopeless. Maybe you just lost your job and it's not a good time. Never is. Maybe you've got a health diagnosis. It's not something that you necessarily created or that was up to you, but here you are with this hopeless feeling. So what do? You start asking yourself questions. You start listening to other people's crazy suggestions. You get creative. And everyone is creative. So when I was depressed, the first thing I did, I remember this, I did aromatherapy. So I was going to a naturopath which was also crazy, out of this world, but I'll try anything. And she had me smell all these different scents. And then there were a few that I liked. And so she put them on a cotton ball and put them in a little vial. And I put them in my purse. And every time I'd feel stressed out or panicky, I'd take that out and give it a sniff. And it would actually calm me. I then heard about a book treating depression with nutrition instead of medication. So I started changing my diet and thinking, does what I eat have to do with my mood and how I feel? This was radical. There's some talk about that now, but I want to tell you, everything you put in this container, this body of yours, is going to affect everything else in the body and container. And that includes your mind and your thoughts. For a couple years, I didn't wear makeup because the thought was I was allergic to some of the chemicals in the makeup. And if you knew me, you'd know how big of a deal that was. But again, I wanted that hope back. I just was problem solving. I was just asking, so now what? From a really not confident place. It was from a very desperate place. And I know if you feel hopeless, you feel desperate. I know that. And from that place, you can find some energy and you can find the gumption to go ahead and try these, what seemed like crazy things. I listened to some cassette tapes at the time on cognitive behavior therapy. And it was amazing what she said and how it was as if she was in my mind and she knew all the crazy thoughts I was having. That was really helpful. For a couple winters, I sat in front of a light for seasonal affective disorder. And I read books. I read books and books and books, as many as I could get my hands on. This was pre-Google. And I was trying to just find any solution. Somebody I knew had a solution. And then the most important, it can seem difficult, but I'm telling you, it's just not. As long as you allow yourself this. The last solution, and it has to happen, is to change your thinking. So however you're thinking about the situation or circumstances that has you feeling hopeless, those are simply thoughts, and you can change your thinking. And in the depression world, I changed my thinking from a spiritual perspective. I considered myself unworthy in the eyes of God, or really in the eyes of anyone else. And I had to switch my thinking to believe that I was worthy. And that just didn't seem right. It wasn't comfortable, but it was necessary because the thoughts I had were leading me to hopelessness, and I needed to change my thinking. So you can find a solution. I know you can. The solution, however, will say, it'll never hurt anyone else. It won't hurt yourself, and it won't hurt anyone else. That's never the solution. The solution will only make you better, and then that'll just flow out to other people too. What has you failed and stuck in your life? Just face it and own it. Ask yourself some questions about it, and then get creative and take some steps, because there is a solution. You don't need to feel hopeless. I do not feel hopeless anymore. And I know I have the power to always be hopeful in any situation. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.